This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome in, my friends, to a very special edition of Behind the Pen. My name is Mike Rankin. Ricky Widmer is here.
What's up, guys?
Joining me. Dave is here. We have a camera to see my face. This is my first time,
Yep.
you guys. You know, I just want to say you're welcome.
Oh.
What, it's you?
Of course it's
You're
me.
the reason why?
Mike is gracing us with his presence on
Absolutely.
camera.
And one of these segments, Mike will be shirtless. So you gotta stay tuned.
Probably not. But I know all you guys want to see that. But the thing is, like, I got a face for everything. Radio, TV, you name it, cameras. We're good here, right? So what do we got on tap for Behind the Pen, you ask? Boy, we have a lot to talk about. Mainly Bulls. We're going to have a lot of Bulls content today, guys.
I can't wait.
Because I have a lot of opinions. You guys know, if you've been listening to Behind the Pen for a while, that I hate this front office. And, you know, I'm always critical of what the Bulls are doing.
But Chicago loves Garpax.
No, they don't. And I think we all know.
But John Paxton won us the 93 title.
Yeah, but John Paxton also hates... never mind. All right, so what do we got here? Also, Blackhawks are making moves. Some good news and some rather unfortunate news, I guess, if you're a fan of a specific player. We're going to get into that a little bit as well. Then we're going to end it. You know, I usually talk Bears, but since we're in like this dead area of football season, we're just going to kind of push it aside for this week because we got baseball to talk about.
I think that's wise.
And we got some Cubs, right? So we're going to talk Cubs and their recent struggles and other things, but let's open it up with some Blackhawks talk. Because we got the Chicago Blackhawks, two players representing some valuable trophies here, especially Patrick Kane, who won the MVP. There we go, over 100 points. He's the first American-born player. He's the second American-born player to win the trophy, and the first Blackhawk to win the MVP since Makita.
So it's kind of a big deal.
It's been a while, and yeah it is a pretty big deal. And then on the other end, Artemi Panarin, who was paired with Kane, and a lot of the reason why Panarin had success was because he worked with Kane. He won the Rookie of the Year, and he was up against Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid is going to be a force in this league. This guy is super talented, and I'm sure he was battling injuries, so that kind of helped Panarin out, and Panarin really contributed. So, good job, Blackhawks, but the thing we really want to touch on right now is the Andrew Shaw trade. Because as we sat down to do this podcast, we weren't going to talk any Blackhawks because there wasn't, other than the MVP and stuff.
And then they just laid it right into our lap.
And then it's like, all right, well, we all knew Andrew Shaw was trying to work out a deal, and he was a restricted free agent, and I guess Shaw was lobbying for $4.5 million.
A little pricey.
It is in the NHL.
Yeah.
It's tough because they're restricted by the cap space, and they signed Kruger to that contract. They have to pay Panarin for incentives. And, this is on the heels of the Teravainen and Bickle trade. So,
see, and that's the thing that,
I'm sorry to cut you off, but, Andrew Shaw was traded for 2 second-round picks to the Canadians.
The first thing I thought of when I saw this trade was, how are people going to react to it based off of the TiVo trade? Because the one thing I've noticed about Hawk fans is they're very loyal to their players, especially when they're fan favorites. And this past season, TiVo, fan favorite. Andrew Shaw, over his years, I've seen him as a fan favorite. He's the kind of guy where I viewed him kind of like a Dellavedova or a Draymond Green in basketball. If they're on your team, you fucking love them. If they're not, you probably hate Shaw a little bit.
Yeah,
he
wasn't playing like second fill, but he was still a very valuable asset.
Solid, scrappy grinder in the third line. And the thing that I look at is there's going to be people that look at this trade and go, so wait, we traded Bickle and then TiVo was basically collateral just to free up cap to sign Shaw, and then we didn't sign Shaw?
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on
I think
here?
the unfortunate part was Shaw was asking for too much, and the Hawks just couldn't afford it. And the thing is, with Shaw, you can replace his production. He's not a guy who scores 20, 25, 30 goals a season. So
it's that homer name.
The thing is with Shaw is that he provides so much value in the clubhouse. And people talk about intangibles.
He's an energy guy.
And
that's what he is.
You think of the Blackhawks, and you picture Andrew Shaw and his cut cheek, holding up the Stanley Cup. That was amazing. And
Can't forget shin pads.
Sure, and a lot of people really respect Shaw's game because you're right, he is a grinder. The thing is, he's easily replaceable in terms of production. So I understand the frustration, and I also understand what the Hawks are trying to do because they need to free up cap space. Bowman's a master of maneuvering around the limits here.
And I was going to say that. How many times since we won the 2010 Cup after we won that one, everyone was upset. How the hell did we get rid of Dustin Byfuglien? Well, everyone was calling him Byfuglien by then, but his real name is Byfuglien. Everyone's like, oh, how do we get rid of him? How do you let Andrew Ladd walk? How do you let Versteeg walk after we win these titles? And it's one of the things where the Blackhawks, the one thing they are good at is they kind of keep their eye on the prize where they go, these are the guys we have to keep. Taves, Kane, Seabrook, Keith. Here's our core. We need to keep that intact. If you're not in that core, I don't care if you're a fan favorite, we're going to get rid of you because we've got Stanley Cup on the mind now.
Yeah, and I think as we wrap up this quick Hawks conversation, I think the problem really goes back to the Bickle signing, too, and that kind of restricted him in a huge way.
Basically, he got signed because he played outstandingly in 2013.
He scored like 8 goals in 17 games or something like that.
He started the playoffs on fire.
And he was a huge presence in front of the net, and you know what? A lot of people were like, yeah, that's a good deal, but he was a bum for that deal. And the fact they lost Saad really because of that, because of the restrictions of the cap space and everything. And now they're losing Teravainen, a young player. I mean, I get it, and that's fine. I'm okay with moving Teravainen, but I don't feel good about the Shaw move.
Well, but like you were saying when we were kind of talking about what we're going to exactly talk about on the podcast in the pre-show, you were even mentioning that, I mean, the whole thing with, I mentioned the TiVo trade, and I went, oh, like, now we can say, well, why did we get rid of TiVo if we're not keeping Shaw? Like you said, TiVo being a center, we were kind of stacked there anyway. So, I mean, it was logical to say, you know what, ice the deal. We need to get Bickle out the door.
And that's what happened. And now Shaw's gone, and it's going to be another retool. Speaking of retools.
Is it really going to be a retool?
No,
though?
because the Hawks still have
in the next cap.
Yeah, they are. They gotta fill some positions. They still got their core of Keith, Seabrook, Kane, Taves.
Corey Crawford is going to be asking for some money.
Sure,
soon.
Crawford's still under contract, but and then they still have Hossa for a couple more seasons. So,
yep.
All right, the Hawks, they're gonna make the playoffs again and again and again. So we're gonna move on from that, and I guess we gotta end that conversation on that note because bye Shaw. Thank you for all of your contributions. It was a lot of fun watching you play, except that one time when you called the ref the derogatory homophobic slur.
We're not touching that
because we talked about it before.
And I don't want to get into it.
We're not going to, so we're going to move on.